of my passions is learning about and teaching the wheel of consent. It's transformational, life-changing, embodied practice. Let's drop into the body together with this beautiful waking up the hands practice. This is Waking Up the Hands, a technique developed by Dr. Betty Martin as part of the Wheel of Consent. So I'm going to show you this technique. It's a foundational piece that's really useful for working through the direct route to pleasure, and it also helps nervous system regulation. You'll need a cushion and an everyday household object. I've got a candle holder here. You'll need to sit somewhere comfortable, somewhere where you can lean back and rest your head. I'm going to invite you to take even more cushions or lean against a wall so that your back is properly supported, that your head and neck are supported. And this is a really important part of the exercise. You can do it sitting up in a chair, but the idea is to get so comfortable that you can allow your whole body to relax. And once you're in position, just ask yourself, could you be even more relaxed? And getting into a place where I can just let my body go. And once you've done that, bring your object onto your cushion, and before you begin to explore it, just bring your attention to your hands. I like to do this exercise with my eyes closed because it increases the sensory information that I'm getting from my hands, but you don't have to. You can experiment with your eyes closed or your eyes open. So I'm just going to take a few breaths so that can really allow my body to relax. And I'm bringing my attention to my hands. The hands have got more nerve endings in than any other part of the body, apart from the genitals and the lips. And we tend not to pay very much attention to our hands. We usually use them because we're doing something. The invitation here is to begin to really notice the sensitivity in your hands. So I'm just bringing my attention to my hands, and I'm noticing the temperature. I'm noticing some pulsing in my hands and feeling some warmth and just relaxing them. And now I'm going to bring my attention to the object that I've chosen. You can choose any household object. You can do this with anything. And so I'm beginning to feel up the object. So now you've got this object in your hands. You'll be collecting some raw data about this object. Is it rough? Is it smooth? What's the temperature like? Satisfy your curiosity. And at some point, my invitation will be to bring your attention to the sensations you're experiencing in your hands. Get really curious about what you're noticing in your own body as you explore this object. And I'm noticing the sensations I'm noticing how spiky part of this is. And I also notice that my brain will start to analyze this object, to think about what it is, or where it came from, or what it's made of. And that's okay. Brain's just doing its thing. The invitation is, when you notice this, to move through that and bring your attention back to the sensations. And I'm enjoying scratching the edges and the sensation of clunkiness that's bringing in my fingers. And sometimes when we do this exercise, associations come up, like, oh, I remember seeing something like this before, or I remember feeling this, something like this before, or I remember something from childhood around this, and that's okay. Just see if you can let that go. And come back to the sensations in your hands. And you can play with pressure. Like I'm enjoying applying a lot of pressure to this object, and have feeling the scratch in my palm. And you can experiment with touching the object as this is, or you can have the object touch you. It can be tempting at first to move really quickly, doing lots of this. The invitation is to slow the touch down, because when we slow the touch down, we feel more. The nerve endings in our hands are connected to the emotional centers in the brain. And for some people, this will bring up emotions. And let that be okay too. Seeing if you can let those emotions flow, or to move through them. And all the while bringing your attention back to the sensations in your hands. You might experiment with stillness. You might experiment with one hand. You might experiment with both hands. And you might even experiment switching between the object and your own hand. If you find yourself holding your breath, that's okay. Just take in as much air as you need. If you find yourself lifting your arms up or your shoulders up to get more access. That's okay, just notice that and allow yourself to relax. This isn't work. This is just noticing the sensations. And slowing the touch down again by half. Noticing when your thoughts drift away and just bringing yourself back. So if you've had your eyes closed so far, I wonder if you could experiment with what you notice when you do this with your eyes open. And if you've had your eyes open, perhaps you can experiment with having your eyes closed and notice what happens. Is there a difference in the sensations you're experiencing? So now that you've come into contact with this object and you've started to notice the sensations in your hands, get curious about whether this can be pleasurable. And how much pleasure you might be willing to allow yourself in contact with this object. And this can bring up a lot for people, and that's okay. Just noticing the sensations and the pleasure in your hands. Just because you can, and for no reason at all other than experiencing the pleasure. So I invite you to bring your hands into stillness, still into contact with the object, and just notice how much more alive your hands are, and noticing what sensations you can still experience even in stillness. So why do we do waking up the hands? Well, first, because it can be fun and pleasurable. Also, it can help us to distinguish between the direct and indirect routes to pleasure. The hands are connected to the emotional centers in the brain, so that can make it easier for us to access those parts of ourselves. And also because touch, slowing down, can help to release oxytocin, which helps to block adrenaline and cortisol, which are the stress hormones. So it can be a very down-regulating, almost meditative practice. The invitation is to set a timer for 10 minutes once a day and just notice the sensations in your hands and how that impacts your body. This can be great as a daily practice. If you're somebody who, like me, struggles with meditation, this can be a really useful practice at noticing what's happening in your body, developing the skill of being able to move away from thoughts back into sensation. And it's a really useful daily practice. So waking up the hands practice can be done indoors or can be done outdoors. You can take it wherever you want to.